All right, welcome in 6:45, February 12th. Excited for today's presentation. We have a lot to get to and some good things. The Mike Lohr Foundation's with us this morning, so happy to talk with them. Quick COVID update: 122 cases. Biggest thing here is the 7-day positive average. We're seeing 1.7. That's down. We've had a couple good days. There's potential little outbreak down in Rutland going on right now from what I've been hearing, but for the most part, again, health and safety is here for your COVID assistance. Again, just don't panic. Pick up the phone, give me a call, and we'll figure it out. Again, just follow best practices on all the COVID front. Vaccine update, roughly 12%, 16 and older have gotten at least their first shot. So we're plugging through, and hopefully this will just only get better and better as time goes. So this week's code of conduct is to work in environmental conscientious manner. So the projects that we do have going about, make sure you have your spill kits, and then you're also just thinking about working in environmental conscientious manner out there on our job sites. So nice job this past week, another 7 days without a recordable injury. Counts up to 71, so let's keep up that good trend, following the best practices, starting your day off with a good thorough JHA, communicating all those hazards to all members on the team, and to try to mitigate our exposure and eliminate any workplace hazards. Wanted to quickly talk about working with Portland Cement. This is something that has bitten us in the past. It's been a little while, so I thought it would be a good refresher to talk about kind of chemical burns and how to prevent this from occurring to our workforce. So wet Portland cement can cause caustic burns, blisters, dead or hardened skin. Portland cement contains trace amount of hexylene chromium. It's a toxic, harmful chemical to our skin. Dry Portland cement is less hazardous to the skin because it's not caustic as wet cement, but still dry can become wet even with just some sweat or a little bit of water. So again, treat it all Portland cement as hazardous to yourself. So the skin problems that we need to really focus on is employees cannot rely on pain or discomfort to alert them of chemical burns. Chemical burns may not cause immediately pain or discomfort. By the time an employee becomes aware of a cement burn, much damage has already been done. I got some spelling errors there, I apologize. So it's very important that you treat it right away. So prevention is what we're here to talk about, the awareness, and then the prevention is follow those hazards communication. The hazards communication, the SDS sheets are readily available. They're on your team's channel. You can look it up, your SDS for the Portland cement that you might be using. Follow those best practices by using good hand sanitation. So just like with COVID, same thing with Portland cement, gets on your skin, let's wash it off. Let's wear those PPE. If you need gloves, let us know in the tool crib. We'll get you the gloves that you need. They're rubber gloves to prevent your hands. And the same thing with the over boots. Again, it's important that if you get any Portland cement down into your boot, take the time, wash it off, clean it up, because if you continue to work with that wet Portland cement inside your boot, you're probably going to get a chemical burn. So a little public announcement from our friend Homer Simpson. Some tools are irreplaceable, so they last a lifetime. So let's protect our hands, and the same thing when it comes to Portland cement. So if it gets on your skin, please try to clean it up as soon as possible. With that said, that's all I have for the safety topic this week. I'll kick it over to Ben Dowd to introduce the group over at the Mike Lohr Foundation.
Well, I'm just following up on that, on the concrete burns and stuff. It's important, and I have an injury on the palm of my hand. I don't know if it's all that visible anymore, but in that right there, that spot, it's been about 4 or 5 months now. And it's just at a bad spot, and it just gets irritated continuously, even putting the cream on it and stuff. So it's very important.
That happened at Pumpkin Hill, right, Ken?
Yes, it wasn't a job site incident.
Okay.
My boss should be yelling at me for not having the proper gear. It goes back to being organized, right? Making
Yeah.
sure, and I don't normally do that type of work. So I wasn't quite prepared like I should have been, but I should have processed through and said, what do I need to protect myself when I do this? And then when the project came together and I mixed up the mortar or the concrete mix, I'm like, oh no, I got to get this in, and I don't have everything together. So it goes back to organizing yourself from the start of any task.
Yeah, and if something happens where you guys end up with a burn or an issue before it gets bigger, you know, let Matt know so that we can make sure if we need to send you over to get you some special cream or whatever for it. Because little things can turn into big things, we find. And then with those things, you know, Ken's been nursing that thing for 5 months. It's just, those things happen.
It's a challenge, you know, just like driving, not necessarily a car, but my tractor and other things for snow removal. You're always using that palm, and it just irritates it all the time. Anyway, turn it back to you, Ben.
Thank you, Ken.
Everybody, my screen. It says, Matt, just turn it over to me. Do you want me to turn my screen on?
Yeah, go ahead. Ben can talk while you do that in the background.
Yeah.
What do you want to? How do you want to present? And are you?
I'm going to introduce
the guys if they're just presenting.
Just talking.
Yeah. I think it's just a it's verbal, right, Tom and Steve?
I believe it is.
All you employees out there this morning, I just wanted to thank you all again. I'm proud to be associated with all of you. I mean, this year, just all of you alone, out of your own pockets, came up with over $19,000 in charitable donations that go to real things. They go to, and you know, the National Guard Charitable Fund, we had them on here. We had the American Cancer Society on, and the Vermont Make-A-Wish, to just let you know the impact that you had with their group. And so today, I saved the one that's near and dear to our hearts, the Classic Mike Lawyer Foundation. We got some representation there that is pretty special to us. We got Tom Lawyer, who's one of our own and someone that we're lucky to have, and also his brother Steve. They are both brothers of Mike Lawyer, as you know, who lost his life in that construction accident that stimulated the good that they do. So I wanted to give these guys the chance to let you know some of their thoughts and where these funds go and what they do. So I'll turn it over to Tom.
Can you hear me okay?
Gotcha.
Thanks for the intro, Ben. Appreciate that. And good morning to everybody. Certainly wish we were doing this in person, and hopefully we'll be doing that soon. Try not to stumble through these too much, but I would love to say that ECI saved the best for last for today's meeting, but that is the absolute opposite of the truth. You know, in all reality, we are humbled to be considered with such an amazing group of recipients that you all selected this year. I'd like to just take a half a second to just recognize those organizations one more time. The Vermont National Guard Charitable Foundation. You know, we all see it on TV every single time. I see all those troops lined up, ready for long deployments. I think this last one's over a year. And knowing that group will have the backs of their families, it puts me in awe. So just a great job on those guys. The American Cancer Society, obviously, arguably, you know, one of the most notable goodwill groups in the country, with a really, really high mountain to climb every day. And it's just admirable that they will not stop until they find a cure for that terrible disease. So, you know, you just can't say enough about that group for sure. Make-A-Wish Vermont, it takes such a special group to work with children in the way that they do. I think I mentioned last year we worked with Make-A-Wish prior to achieving our nonprofit status. Our first year, we all the money we raised went to Make-A-Wish, and that felt great. And additionally, they provided us with a great amount of knowledge and really launched us in the right direction on how to get into this nonprofit world with a good focus on a mission. And the mission that we started with has been amended a few times, and we always think back to how simple their mission is, and it's literally, if there's a life-threatening sickness, that's it. They meet the criteria, so there's no strings attached, and we have followed that lead for sure. So as an ECI employee, it was great to be part of the group that all gathered together to assist those organizations. So like Ben said, so well done to everybody on that part. As most of you guys know, you guys and girls know, we began tragically on July 18th in 2011 with the loss of Mike, and that was a tough construction accident, but we took all of our energy and transitioned into a positive organization. We've helped many individuals along the way, and this year, you know, with the help that you gave us, this 2020 year has been a bear for fundraising. I think the other organizations mentioned the same thing. So the support you gave us had a really incredible impact. In 2020, COVID benched all of our social events and most of our fundraising efforts, which is tough because we're a very social group. So we had a hard time with that part of it, but we move forward. But again, this donation was a huge help in allowing us to continue on our mission and to continue to help those in need. In 2019, we delivered 39 different assists. For a small group like that, out of a 52-week year, that was a great accomplishment for us. There were some substantial things we did in those 39 assists. And on a good note, in 2020, even though we were idled in many ways, we were able to assist on nearly every need we were made aware of. I don't have the exact number, but I'm sure we're in the same range we were in 2019. So our momentum is good. We're continuing to stay strong that way. You know, just to highlight one of them, without getting into a whole bunch of them, in December, it was brought to our attention, a 37-year-old diesel mechanic, excuse me, was diagnosed, pardon me, with leukemia, and 7 weeks after he went to the hospital, he lost his life. Left 3 young children. The oldest was 11. We worked with that individual's employer and their employees, and really made a substantial assistance to that family. So that was able to happen because of all the things that you folks do for us and other folks who help us. So it's greatly appreciated. I know when Ben Dow announced this past year's recipients, he gave a little description of all the groups, and when he got to us, he said something along the lines of, I don't have it exactly, but I think he said, and I quote him, "I've been trying to figure this group out for a very long time, and the best way I can describe them is to say I can't figure out who they don't help." That was nice to hear for sure, but it really, for us, it further confirmed the second part of our mission is working well. We have a 2-part mission statement. The first part is to assist families who lose loved ones in worksite accidents, which unfortunately we've had to do far too many times. And then the second part is to, it's kind of an act of kindness. If there's a need, we're there to help. It simply comes down to someone's in a bad way or in a bad situation. The way we've drafted our mission statement allows us to step in quickly and do what we can do to help in their time of need with no strings attached, the lesson we learned from Make-A-Wish. Moving quickly is something we take seriously. We've learned time and time again that when someone's in a bad spot, usually time is not on their side. So we take a lot of pride in doing that. And I would ask that you please keep us in mind and reach out to us when we are made aware of these types of situations, because we're here to help. We want to help. We're ready to help. So with that, I'll conclude with a huge thank you to all my coworkers for the heartfelt contributions. The daily camaraderie is amazing around here, and the continued friendship, it's all greatly appreciated. So thank you very much, ECI employees, everybody. It's great to be here for sure.
Great.
I'll turn it over to Steve, I guess. Like.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Tommy. First of all, I'd love to echo what Tom said about working with ECI and the gratitude that we have for your generosity and choosing to support our group. You have many great options to pick from out in the community, and we're honored that we're chosen to be part of that of your giving. I would like to add, we work with a lot of folks, and I want to give you this feedback from the outside looking in. Sometimes when you work within a company, you don't always see the greatness. And I can tell you, we work with a lot of different companies. We see culture. We see how people come to do the things they are. And when I think about ECI and I think about the team that's there, and I think about all the great things that you guys do just within your own teams, how you treat your customers, how you treat the people you work with. The only thing I can say is it's a step above culture. You guys have really instilled, I hate to use it, but DNA. It's in your DNA. It's who you are. It's how you come to do things. That comes through great leadership, comes with purpose, clear vision. You guys, I want to tell you from the outside looking in, class act all the way around. We couldn't be happier to be associated with you. So thank you for your ongoing support.
Thank you,
Thank
Steve.
you. Okay,
It's always good to hear, because you get, it's so engrossed. We have a different level of standards, and sometimes we don't realize what other people think. But that's kind of what makes us special, as I think everybody here is pretty humble, which is good.
Mhm.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thank you. I'll take over and change the screen over to the email of the week. And Steve, you're welcome to continue along for the rest of the presentation. Okay, put my glasses on for this part. So for announcements, we're already up to President's Day weekend here, and Monday the 15th, which is a holiday, and the offices will be closed. So please submit your time before 6 a.m. on Tuesday or earlier so the PMs can approve and submit it to accounting later that morning. And Sunday, I want to remind everybody, is Valentine's Day. So don't forget your sweetheart and get her something, him or her, something special. And you should have received your W-2s in the mail. So if you haven't, let the accounting department know. So last week we rolled out the new policy on emergency callouts. And I'll just read through the policy here again. The emergency response bonus, or an ERB is called. Employees that are called out and respond to an unforeseen emergency during non-scheduled work hours qualify for a bonus of $50 for that event. So employees must submit a separate time card record under the ERB code, which we'll talk about, or Joy will talk about in a moment. And you use the ERB with an amount of 50 for each event. So the idea is that if you get called out, say for a water main break, you get called at whatever time, 2 in the morning, something past work hours, you would respond and then you get that $50 bonus. So the idea is also just to make it a little bit easier to get dragged out to probably an unpleasant job. It's probably not enough to cover a lot of these, I'm sure, that I know that are not very comfortable and pleasant to deal with, but it's one little bit of appreciation we want to make sure that we give to everybody who does get up and commits to these things, because it's important for us, it's important to the company, our customers rely on us for a lot of emergency work. So I have this, it's a photo image here, and Joey might have the same that he prepared for the Foundation Field login and in crediting yourself for this ERB. So is Joey there?
He is. I'll make him the presenter real quick and I'll kick it back to him
Okay.
or you after he's done.
Okay.
let me know.
We see your other screen, Joey. It's your desktop. There you go. Click it over. Perfect.
Right.
Feel free to share your cam if you
Go.
want us to see you.
Too many screens here. All right. Thanks, Ken. And all right, are you looking at my foundation?
I see it.
Perfect. So everybody that should be, that's putting in time cards should be familiar with this screen. So just every time we submit for our ERB bonus, then we just need to do a separate time card entry. It's very similar to the per diem process. For those of you who have been doing a lot of work out of town and putting in the per diem, very, very similar to that, but a couple small changes. So I'll just kind of fill out a time card in the process, and then we can take any questions if anyone has anything. So in normal time card, in this case, I clicked on a single time card. This also applies and can be used in the grid time card space if you're a supervisor using the grid time card. And I'm not going to go through that here, but I can definitely get with you one-on-one if anyone has any questions. So the job will always be the job that you're working on. So I'm just going to select a random job. Emergency water break is probably applicable. The cost code is going to be the normal cost code you would use for the work that you're doing. So if you showed up for a water line break or a force main break or something like that, you would use that cost code. So there's no, unlike the per diem, there's no specific cost code to use. So just do, water line, I'll just do UW001. And then your earn code, this is the key that makes it all work. The earn code is not going to be, most of us are regular hourly. Some of us are salary, but the earn code for this particular case is going to be ERB. So just type in ERB, and it'll show up. And it's also just available in the drop down if you scroll down. And it's labeled emergency response bonus. So when you select that, it actually line for some reason is defaulting. When you select that,
how many of those have glow plugs?
Can we mute the audience, Matt? When you select the ERB, then this field, which is normally your hours field for your number of work hours, now turns into an amount. So you can continue filling out your time card, make sure you've got your trade and your shift, and the shift can remain default, and it actually doesn't matter. So your time cards may have a different shift on them, potentially, but in this case, it won't make a difference. So just keep it at default is fine. Go ahead and put in the date, and then the amount, you just type in 50. And then, it's always good to put a description with your time cards, what you did, when you showed up, responded to water break at such location at 2:45 a.m. Something like that. Just good records. It's good notes for us. It's good notes for you. And then you hit your save time card, and then when you look up and see your submitted time, you'll see that it shows a $50 amount here, and it shows 0 hours. So that's correct. We want this time card to reflect a dollar amount and not an hour amount. And so then I can click on that, and it should pop back up. And then when I'm ready to submit, I can do my normal review and submit process. I see that I've got my job is the job that I worked on. I got my cost code for the type of work that I was performing on that job. And if there's a couple different cost codes being worked on, we can just kind of consult with the PM or your supervisor to make sure we get the right one. But then it shows up here as ERB, emergency response bonus, and the $50, and then you can go ahead and submit that, and that goes through the normal approval process as well. So if you did make an error or missed something, we can correct things and we can send things back and forth the same way we can do with our normal time cards. So pretty simple, and I'm going to email out a copy of the tutorial that I prepared and that Ken had posted in the email, and then everyone can review that. And then any questions, as usual with Foundation, kind of give it the 2-minute rule. If you're fighting something for more than 2 minutes, then give me a call or give somebody a call who can help you.
Okay.
I had a quick one, Joey. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
You guys that respond this is going to be talked about by your foreman and by whoever the response coordinator or project manager is. So you won't be on the dark on this. They're going to be saying, hey guys, we got called in at 2 a.m. Remember I want the foreman to make sure to let you guys know. Remember, we got called in at 2 a.m. So let's all do this. And then it's going to be, like Joey said, it's going to be reviewed and approved and verified by either Brian or Joey or one of the guys, whoever the responsible project manager is. So.
And for you crew leaders and supervisors, you can also use the group time card, which is just, you could do a ERB bonus for your entire crew that showed up that was eligible for it all at once as well. So, and I can show everyone that on a one-on-one basis too, if you have a need for that.
Okay, all set?
All set. Thank you.
All right. So I'll show my screen again and go back to the email. And move to the next section here. So for the weather this week, today is certainly chilly and overnight. This was actually overnight for last night. This is yesterday's weather report. And I think it was probably pretty close to -7, but that cold weather, cold nights and cold days are going to continue for the next several days. Looks like it's warming up gradually by Monday. We have the COVID policies here. Hopefully those will start to change here a little bit with the increasing vaccinations. And I heard that the CDC was going to waive any, I don't know if that applies to state, but the CDC now is saying they'll waive any quarantining if you have the both vaccines. So that will certainly change a lot of protocols going forward. And we had our charity giving representatives from the Classic Mike Lawyer Foundation, and certainly thank you very much, Tom and Steve. And for the project this week, we are highlighting the Jiffy Lube slab and structural framing repairs. This is at their facility in South Burlington. We're contracted with the Ivor Isney or Isney. I don't know how they actually pronounce it. Construction. What? How's it go?
Inverness.
Inverness. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds a little better. So they're out of Hingham, Mass, and they pretty much just sub out a lot of the work. They must have some kind of service agreement with these different places like the Jiffy Lube. We've dealt with them before. So we're hired to perform the repairs on their service center on Shelburne Road, and the work was necessary because of extensive corrosion of the steel framing supporting the service pit area and significant cracking and concrete deterioration of the deck. So this was a photo from the report, the engineering report done for them directly a couple years ago or so. And this doesn't show much damage on this top image, but it's a great pre-construction photo. And then they have a sketch and recommended removal and replacement of a lot of the deck around the pit openings, and a lot of cracks and pretty severe deterioration underneath. This is the deck pan underneath the slab, and you can see in that little image, that blown up image, that the deck is completely corroded away. And then it gets really ugly looking on some of the steel framing where that's pitted and corroded and everything. And you can imagine salt stripping off the cars and everything. And, it's kind of lightly, framed in some sense when you consider corrosion and everything. So we were hired to replace and repair everything. And we started, of course, with the demolition. So the deck was demolished and then left with the framing. And we stripped out the steel beams and left the post. Those blocks in the middle, I believe, are the oil containers for waste oil. And then you see from underneath, after we got new framing in, the old post, and then the deck pan above. And there we've got the rebar ready to pour. And they eliminated one of the pits. And then there we are pouring. and used our pumper. And all screeded and troweled off. And then some of the hydro paper for curing, a little wet cure, nice conditions. Looked like they got the overhead door slightly open there. Probably was plenty comfortable inside this time of year. This happened, I think, last week we got this done, I believe. Although you still see a major crack there on the outside area, but the pit area is all kind of rebuilt. So from the photo archives, I've shown a project here from 2014. It's the Burlington Fire Department Central Station on South Winooski Avenue, and we're pouring the aprons out in front of their overhead doors. So that was back already 6.5, going on 7 years ago. Pretty amazing how time flies. That's what I got. I'll turn it back to you, Matt. Everyone have a safe day out there. Stay warm. It is bitter out there, so take all the precautions for cold weather, protection, and for starting equipment and all that.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you all for joining us. Be safe today. Have a good day.
Thank you.